So here we are. We're going to do the debrief of the Fort Sill regional, where we were right, where I was wrong, and I've got some video, Chris, of you bowling, and I've got a few shots of me. As it started to get worse and worse in the day, my interest level in getting my friend to come and tape me was waning, shall we say? So, from what happened for you, where did you think you made some good choices? Where did you make some bad choices?
Well, I think having a system probably served me pretty well, because what we thought and we would assume what would happen on a 44-foot pattern where you end up playing the track and using some balls that maybe start out on the angular end of even heavier and going down to medium and maybe even dry kind of angular type balls. Those didn't really come into play at all. And I end up, like I said, I thought I wouldn't use this ball probably at all, but it's my benchmark ball. And this is kind of my heaviest control ball. And I didn't assume either one would play, and I ended up using those two more than pretty much anything else. So,
well, I have put together a little bit of a video of you when we were bowling. So this is it's kind of in order of the games you bowled. I can so here we go. Think I can. There we go. So this was kind of the Eon. That was kind of how you were starting it.
Yeah. Low RG, symmetrical, low pin. Everything about it's kind of control. It's got 500 grit on it, and it's just meant to kind of roll and stay and keep my lines in front of me. And they were tight enough down lane, and there was a little bit of hook on the gutter, maybe not 1-2, but enough there to kind of use that and keep it in that little zone between 5 and 10.
This is Austin Bulls. He had the best reaction out of the gate. He was hooking it a little bit more than you were.
He was, and I kept feeling like I needed to move left, but I had pretty good control of the pocket, so I stayed there.
This was your first shot of game 2. I needed to be a bit further left than that. Now this is where I disappeared. This is actually your last game. Smoke and mirrors there with the trip 4. Yeah, I think you like this one a bit better. This is the last shot I think I got.
Yeah, I moved in with that flux, and that's kind of my heavy angular type ball, one of the two that I end up with there. That one has 1,000 on it, and then the volatility torque, which is this one, is shiny, but also has a big engine in it. So it's kind of two different ways to get to that spot. And I went with more surface to try and take away that down lane wiggle. It was okay, but it certainly wasn't as good as what Austin had, where he was using way more axis rotation and using a really big ball to blend it out and take away that thing. Much like you talked about what Chris Prather does on tour a lot, kind of gets around it and kind of gets to flip off the end, but still gets his break point before that basketball, so to speak, down in the break point that makes people 210.
Yeah, I mean, I can just do a quick. I only got the 3 shots of me. Just 1 second. There we go. This was actually the first game. I was using this is a phase 2. It was a pin down phase 2. And then I think that this one here this is still the phase 2. Kind of the ring 10, didn't really. And then I went. I should have turned the sound off on that, but yeah. Then I kind of tried to chase it in a little bit, and I went to a UFO which had kind of a higher pin. I kind of like that reaction with those balls, but I think the problem I had was in general, it just forced me too far left. I feel like that I started with a 4-inch pin, 70-degree val angle, phase 2, so kind of a really slow ball. And I kind of like the reaction. It's just that I don't play that reaction very much. And it was kind of like double, spare, strike, spare, and then Frankie was bowling 2 pairs down and he shot 299. So it kind of made me think, well, in practice, I didn't really have that many issues. Like I struck all the ball. So I don't know. I guess it's just comfort level. I'm still learning how to use those lower pin balls in my arsenal because I just don't see the reaction as good with them. So of course I'm very reluctant to use them unless it's, the Insta 10 bagger.
Right.
So I think that caused me a lot of trouble. And then the second game I bowled quite well. I tricked it with that UFO, I got to about 15, 17, somewhere around there, soft curving it. And I felt like, oh, I'm going to be fine for the day now. And then I made the weird flip because of some of the lanes being broken or whatever, down to the other end. And the pair we went on to, a guy had started with a pitch purple. And that pair kind of got a little weird. And I knew it was weird because Frankie just bowled on that pair and he shot 160.
Yeah, after shooting 299. So
I think I kind of taught myself into 170, dicking around, changing balls, trying to, just back and forth, not really. But on that pair, I felt like the only place I could go was left because there was so much squiggle down the lane. So I made the flip to the other end pair, again, because the lanes were out. And the right lane was hooking quite a bit more. So it kept forcing me left and left and left. And I had 2 doubles and clean for 204. And this is where I think I really made the mistake of not trusting the lower pin balls. Because I think that I was using an Axiom at that point, and then I tried the Rubicon. And I just feel like when I was hooking it, they were just pushing that little bit too far and then coming behind the head pin a lot. And it's really hard to see with your eyes because you always feel, especially for me, where I feel like I can change my speed, it felt like I could make that work. And it obviously wasn't the right thing to do. And like I said, I think in hindsight, if I'd have stayed closer to the track, even if I'd have been using the pin-up balls and kind of tried to spin it a little bit through the front, because, I bowled with 2 guys who never went left of 15 the whole block, and they destroyed me. Anthony Coates shot I think 190 over, and then Juan Garza shot 160 over, and they didn't run into any troubles the whole time. But I think sometimes you get so adjusted to bowling on the national tour and seeing that being left, it develops so much quicker. You just don't have those tournaments where you can stay to the right for 8 games. So
right. Yeah, and we both saw Travis AAA, who ended up finishing second, and he played out the whole time, and it was good, and it was bad, and it was good. And so I kind of missed a move there, too. I was ahead of him going into match play, and we bowled 2 games, and he was next to me on game 3, and he was already 100 pins ahead of me, or 130 pins ahead of me, and I'd won one of the games. So he beat me by 100 scratch, and I went 2-0, 2-0, 220, 230, something like that. So he shot 530 the first 2, and then next to me, he shoots 289 again. To start the next game. And I was still stubborn enough. I waited one more game before I went out and actually started playing 1-2. And that's when I finally went to the aspect. And so every ball I had was, it's 248, 250, 251, 249. Everything was pretty low RG. I go from 2,000, 1,000. That's actually shiny with grid underneath it, and then 500. But everything was pretty early. There were some guys who could really get away with going around it with some surface, but there was a lot more guys who really struggled trying to do that on several pairs. And you had to take the good with the bad. And I was way more conservative in qualifying because I felt like I controlled the pocket, and we had way less rev rate than B Squad had. So other than Austin Bolds, really not that many guys were hooking it very much to make it feel like it was the right thing to do either.
Yeah, I don't. Outside of Anthony, the last few games, there wasn't very many people on our squad who were successful. I was just really stubborn. I wasn't necessarily looking at other people. I felt like when I can throw it slow, I can always trick it enough to find those 2 or 3 good games, and I just couldn't. And it was one of those tournaments. I think the only things that I could have done was maybe stick more to the balls that I don't have as much confidence in, and that's always a little bit trickier. So maybe I needed to commit more to my arsenal, as a whole, rather than just my own skill set. And that's always going to be a little tricky, I think.
The shift in philosophy, and I think we're all probably best served to stick to our gut instincts. And most of the time that serves us both pretty well. But yeah, every once in a while you do get fooled because you're too stuck in your own general ingrained thoughts and have to break out. And in an 8-game, 1-block format to make a cut, sometimes that can be pretty costly.
Yeah, I mean, the positives I can take from it, I dominated the 3-4 combination, making that 5 for 5. It's a little worrying when you don't miss any spares and you make 5 that are like 50%ers probably. You make 5 out of 5 and you still come up 12 short.
It wasn't hard to leave some of those 3-4 combinations there when the GSX machines, I feel, by the way, any mechanic that has to work on those, my heart goes out to you. They pretty much just set them up in random spots on a regular basis. So, yeah, they were pretty far apart sometimes in some of those pairs. Anything high seemed to leave a three-pin split of some sort. So,
yeah, so that was that was our debrief on where it went right and where it went wrong. I think for me, looking back on it, if I'd have had a couple more lower pin options, they might have served me better. I think that was probably the best scenario. It would have allowed me to play in the part of the lane that seemed to be the more successful.
Yeah, I would agree. I obviously balls that are really slow don't let you go left to right like that. But with this one, I was able, because the engine's big and it was low RG and pretty rolly, I was able to get around it and create that shape. It wasn't great. In match play, it turned out not to be the right thing to do. It needed to be straighter, but having the option was good. For me, it was low RGs and using my hand to create that early lower pin shape that you're talking about. And that at least let me play in the game. I didn't perform particularly well, and that ended up being a middling finish, 7th, I guess. But overall, it certainly left me a chance to finish probably 2nd or 3rd. And Jacob ran away and kind of hid. Travis both fantastic. I kind of feel bad for him. That what could have been his tournament to win. The performance he put on in match play was outstanding.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for watching. Give us a like on the video and hit the subscribe button, and we'll continue to try and add more of this behind the scenes kind of knowledge for you guys. So take care. See you next time.
All right.